This video aims to present the different environmental challenges faced when creating a new railway line known as the High Speed 2.
Shown here is a map presenting the proposed HS2 railway route to the north of England.
The HS2 is a new high-speed railway line increasing England's interconnectedness of cities from south to north via the Midlands, including cities such as London, Birmingham, Manchester and Leeds. The route will form a Y shape to allow for easy transport links to the capital city, majorly reducing journey times. It will be 330 miles long, with around 56.5 miles completely or partly hidden to minimise visual and noise pollution. It aims to reduce overcrowding by carrying over 300,000 passengers a day, whilst removing up to 76 lorries for UK roads via freight trains, thus reducing carbon emissions and improving air quality.
There are many justice, transformation, and sustainability connections. The initial plans have been altered due to local resistance movements and justice transformations. This top-down, government-run project aims to counteract the environmental damage through introducing a net zero carbon emission policy to enable sustainable transformations. Through the use of structural power, local people have been manipulated into selling their homes and neglected in terms of the planning routes.
Despite many people living in cities north of Birmingham viewing the HS2 as a job creator, there have been many strong oppositions to the HS2 plans by local people south of the planned route. An example of this is environmental damage and demolition to heritage sites, including antique cottages and housing in traditional English countryside. This is prominent in the Chiltern Hills, just outside of London, whereby wealthy and powerful households reside. It has also been classed as an area of outstanding natural beauty. In addition, there are vast amounts of concern over the noise pollution that HS2 will cause, as a result of 14 to 18 trains per hour, with an estimated 90 decibels of noise output per train. Many people have sought to remove their personal agendas and move to a more collaborative approach in the form of campaign groups, as there are now around 70 local action groups. These groups undergo meetings, petitions, and create further public awareness through campaigns against HS2.
Through the construction of HS2, there will be large amounts of environmental damage, as there needs to be new stations and the creation of tunnels leading to deep cuttings and disruptions to wildlife habitats. It will need to source power from the national grid, and the fact that it will be a high-speed train automatically means that it will require more energy, which is not always a green source.
The government aims to accomplish the following objectives to overcome any environmental impact and enable sustainability: to create a green corridor to conserve habitats and biodiversity, minimising the carbon footprint with a goal of net zero carbon emissions, limiting the impacts of climate change. There will also be more than 2,000 metres square of solar panels. They aim to minimise the impacts on people and the environment through reducing impacts of flooding, noise and air pollution. It aims to reduce impacts to historic environments through heritage mitigation. By using sustainable resources, there will be a reduction to waste and landfill, promoting circular economic principles. The local resistance movement campaigns have already sought to bring about transformative change through driving the government to undergo changes to the HS2 plan, such as including underground tunnels across areas of Chiltern to minimise the risks of damaging the sensitive landscapes.
Throughout the construction of HS2, there have been many types of power used by the government and construction companies, especially through structural power. This visible power is shown through the manipulation of families being forced out of their homes and off their land to make way for the railway lines. Louise Nicholson was also forced out of her Grade 2 listed building and stated that it's just been very unnerving. What has been the worst is the realisation that nobody actually owns anything. You can just have it taken away from you with no choice whatsoever. Another resident who was forced to sell and move showed similar dismay as he was driven off his farm and agricultural land but received letters from the government stating that it is an attempt to put pressure on him.
In conclusion, the HS2 railway attempts to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by encouraging more people onto public transport and improving air quality. Despite this, there have been many concerns over the environmental impacts that the construction process will have, which has led to many local resistance movement campaigns, which did in fact bring about the addition of tunnels to protect the sensitive environment. In order to overcome this, the government intervened to minimise the environmental risk through creating their 5 objectives. However, there were large amounts of manipulation through the use of structural power, which meant that many people were forced to sell their land and homes, resulting in more environmental destruction.
And here is a list of our references used throughout.